Good morning, everyone. Father Martin Padovani back with you today, and I think we're going to do a little bit of talking about gratitude. First of all, our gratitude to God, and then we'll talk about gratitude amongst the people with whom we live and move every day. So gratitude is an attitude, and I also refer to it as a beatitude because it is one of the most important aspects of our relationship with God, let alone with people. That whole aspect of being able to be grateful to God is really the highest form of worship that we can give to God. And that's why I often say, if we had an attitude on going to Mass on Sunday and get rid of that idea of obligation and mortal sin and all of that, and come up with the whole idea, I owe God gratitude at the beginning of every week for what happened the past week, I think it'll go a lot further, and it certainly is a much more mature way of dealing with God. So one of the greatest aspects of our relationship with God is really our gratitude to God. And that's why we gather on Sunday to worship God, to give him thanks for what we had in the past week, and thanks for what he's going to do for us in the next week. And so the awareness of the goodness of God is what it's all about, because God is eternal and ever present and always to be praised and thanked. And so our extreme and ultimate dependence on God is what that gratitude to God is all about. And it opens our hearts and our minds and a sense of responsibility to what we owe to God. Our greatest responsibility is to thank God constantly for his wonderful goodness and how it opens our minds and hearts to God. And also when we look at the strengthening of our relationship with God, the more grateful we are to God, the more it broadens our awareness of the goodness of God. It brings us closer to God, and God becomes that greater person in our lives. And even though I enjoy and I take delight in the wonderful things that God has given me, and I can feel good about them, it always makes me realize I owe it to God. And this is what true humility is all about, to be able to enjoy the gift and take delight in myself. But also the fact is, I owe it all to God, genuine humility. It's about a genuine sense of poverty also, because whatever God gives us or whatever great things I do, really it's all through the grace and the power of God and how he's guided me. And so I say, I thank you, Lord, for what I've been able to do, but it all goes to you. I owe it to you. So it's a sense of real poverty of how much I'm dependent on God. And gratitude helps us to expand our vision of God and also the greatness of God. And that's why it's such a wonderful aspect to be a grateful person. And furthermore, it's a deep understanding of God's love for us, his many gifts. And the more we love him, the more we're going to thank him, and one feeds into the other. What is the most responsible person is the person who is continually finding reasons why he or she has to thank God. And as we go through a day and examine and reflect on each day as we're going through it, let's learn to thank God throughout the day for all the small things and the great things that happen. It expands our mind, expands our heart. It strengthens and widens our relationship with the God who is always with us, and he always loves us. And so we recognize God is so good, and we realize the infinite goodness of God when we share in that gratitude that we give to God. This is not only an important aspect of being a mature person, a mature Christian, but it also is what genuine spirituality is all about. And isn't that really what we're all interested in? Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed our few thoughts on this today.